What's going on, guys? I'm the filmmaker and I love movies, and welcome back to another video. And it is that time of the month again. It is the beginning of a new month. That means we're going to be reflecting today on December 2020. That's right, I'm actually going to commit to it this time. Today I'm going to be talking about every film that I watched in December 2020. I'm committing every month now to actually talk about this and do this as a monthly kind of series on the channel, because I tested it out in November. It had a very good response. Everyone really liked it. I've had some people asking me, when is December 2020 going to come up? So here I am. Yes, get used to these every month now, so I can just talk about every film that I watched last month, give my rating and give my very brief thoughts on. Now, December 2020, the final month of 2020, even though 2021 isn't exactly looking very bright at the moment. England has just gone into another lockdown. Expect some pretty regular-ish videos. I can now make a few more videos. I have online college 3 days a week. So yeah, hopefully that will brighten up your day in lockdown if you're in England, or if you're in wherever, if you're in lockdown, or if you're having a bad day anyway. So let's get into it. I don't think I've got anything else more to say, yeah. But one last thing. Music, please. I kicked off the month with Knives Out. Oh, I love this film so much. It's so well written. I think I've seen it like 4 or 5 times now, and actually on the 1st of December 2019, so 1 year ago the date that I watched this film in December 2020, I would have actually watched it for the first time in the cinema. So it was really nice, you know, kicking off December, kicking off kind of the winter time. It's very nice and cozy film. Then I watched the new Amazon Prime film Uncle Frank. I mean, it was just fine. The writing was very uneven. I had a big problem with the writing, but I think Paul Bettany was fantastic in the film. He gave a great performance, but the writing really bogged down the film for me. Then I watched Steve McQueen's Red, White and Blue, you know, one of his small axe films. They were still airing, and I think John Boyega gives his best performance to date. There's a really great long tracking shot. It's very well made as usual. It's a great addition to the small axe anthology. Then I watched A History of Violence. I don't really know how much I feel about this film. It kind of had a very strange atmosphere to it. It was quite flat, but like the camera work and performances, there's some good, but I think there definitely is some bad. And then I watched Easy Rider, a delightful surprise. This is one of the perfect films about counterculture. It's from the structure to the editing to the soundtrack. It's all great, all iconic. It's very interesting film. It's one of those films from the late 60s, like Midnight Cowboy, which do some strange things with editing. Yeah, really liked Easy Rider. Can't wait to watch it again. Then I watched the big daddy. It is Citizen Kane. It was very daunting going into this film because it is kind of built up to be one of the greatest films of all time. And put simply, the film's structure is fantastic. Camera work, I appreciate all the technical qualities. I appreciate everything that it has done for cinema, how influential it is, how game-changing it is, but it isn't the most interesting piece of cinema I've watched. In fact, I was a little bored. Then I watched Mank. I did a review on the film, if you'd like to check it out. My only thoughts that have changed since I did my video review is I think the script could have been a lot better. I do think that the political turn the film takes was a bad one at that. Then I rewatched Some Like It Hot. This film is got to be one of the funniest films of all time. It is so delightful, really great performances. Billy Wilder, his direction is very subtle, but it's really good. Yeah, I really do like Some Like It Hot. Then I watched Mothra, a classic Japanese monster movie. And that's all I can say, really. I mean, it's got the exact same structure of Godzilla. You know what to expect with these films, and there were some very unintentional funny moments, but it was a good time. And then I watched Mothra vs. Godzilla. And yeah, this was not that great, unfortunately. I always talk about this when I'm talking about these Godzilla films, and it's always very hard to balance your monster kaiju action with the human characters, because nobody really cares about the human characters, but 90 minutes of monsters fighting can get very boring very fast. So it's always a very hard balance, and this film definitely misses the mark. And then I watched Alex Weitel, and I thought it was solid performances from everyone, fine direction from McQueen. The main event of the film is a protest turned violent, which is similar to Mangrove, and McQueen executes this protest differently to very nice effect. Then I rewatched Inside Out. It's it's not one of my favourite Pixar's, unfortunately. A lot of people love this film, and I just think it's good. I like it a lot, but it's just, it doesn't do enough for me. I think what it's saying, like most Pixar films, is very profound and very great for young audiences, especially, you know, kids, which it's aimed at as well. But still, it's just not one of my favourite Pixar's. Then I rewatched The Shining. What else? What can I say about this film that really hasn't already been said, or what can I say that I haven't already said about this film? It is just the most creepiest, disturbing, one of the most haunting films, I must say, I've ever seen. Even though I rewatch it many, many times, and I can say now, the scenes where Jack goes back in time, you know, where he's in the gold room and he's talking, I think it's to Floyd, the barman, and when he's at the party, they're definitely my favourite scenes of the entire film, that I just found it so creepy and so unsettling and haunting, the use of music and dialogue and camera work, it's just, oh, I love it so much. Then I watched Ingmar Bergman's Smiles of a Summer Night, this film kicking off the Ingmar Bergman Cinema Criterion box set, and unfortunately I didn't like it that much. I was very bored. It's a comedy. I didn't laugh at all. A few times I chuckled, but overall this just wasn't my thing. Then I watched Cannibal Holocaust. Right off the bat, it's got awful acting and some very extremely shocking scenes and possibly animal cruelty. I wouldn't be surprised if I actually did watch actual animals get killed, and I'm not even going to say what else happens to some animals in this film. It does have a big reputation for being one of the most shocking films of all time, and some people really like it. I just think from a technical perspective it's really poorly made, and I was not invested in it whatsoever. I never connected with it, but it's got an interesting commentary it's going for. I can understand kind of the meaning of the film, even though it is quite on the nose, especially at the end. Then I rewatched The Good Dinosaur. It's beautifully animated as usual, but it's ultimately a forgetful Disney Pixar film. It's just Then I watched The Hurt Locker. I thought the editing was very sharp, the direction was very good, so was the performances. Yeah, I did enjoy this one, very much so. Then I watched Star Wars The Phantom Menace. This isn't the most engaging Star Wars film, but it's not bad. In fact, none of the prequels, in my opinion, are bad. And I'm glad I've actually come to a point in my life where I can say the prequels aren't bad. I technically grew up on the prequels. I used to watch the prequels all the time. I was shocked to hear that the prequels had a bad reputation when I kind of moved into public opinion. And this one isn't bad at all. It's just really not engaging at all. It's a massive stepping stone for the Star Wars universe. It sets up Anakin's arc, the rise of the Sith, the rumblings of a new war, the connection between Padme and Anakin, and the prophecy of the Chosen One. It does so much. I just think maybe, especially this goes for all the prequels, they should have been longer. I would have loved an epic trilogy, especially for Revenge of the Sith. Then I watched Frozen 2. Now, to clarify, the only reason why I watched this film was because it was on a 100 highest grossing films of all time list on Letterboxd, which I wanted to complete. If it wasn't on that list, I would never have seen this. And I give it this. It's got a nice autumn/winter feel to it. The music's okay, the animation is really good, but I hated Olaf. I hated him. This film was definitely not for me. Judging on the story alone, it's terrible. Not that the story is poorly structured or written, it's just not my cup of tea. Then I watched McGabe and Mrs. Miller, a really nice winter warmer. It's shot fantastically, well acted by Warren Beatty and Julie Christie. Unfortunately the plot holds back, but now I'm discovering that's kind of what Robert Altman's style is, since I've watched his Nashville film as well, and I didn't like Nashville because it didn't have much of a plot and I couldn't get connected to the characters. This one has more of a plot, but still quite a hangout feel to it. But I definitely enjoyed this one a lot more. And the third act snow scene is just beautiful. And then I watched Attack of the Clones. And I'm surprised as you are. I cannot believe how high I rated this, but it seriously is a really good film. I really like Attack of the Clones. And I was surprised that a lot of people hated this film. In fact, I had someone comment on my Letterboxd review saying why they didn't like it, because I put in my Letterboxd review, I don't get why people don't like this, hoping that someone would give me a counter argument, and they did. So thank you. I think it was Sam Marsh who did that, the Blu-ray reviewer. Thank you, Sam. And then I watched 12 Angry Men. This film could have been made yesterday. It was incredible. The script is brilliant, the direction. As soon as the film started, started, I was hooked. I couldn't leave my eyes off the screen. This film is definitely up for a rewatch. It's one of my favourite first time watches of December 2020. It's just, it was really, really good. Then I watched Titanic, and it's a classic. Taken me a long time to watch this film, and I finally did it in December. And I think the way the film is structured, it makes it feel like 2 hours rather than 3, so the long run time wasn't an issue for me. I was worried that the romance would have been boring for me or dull or would have bogged the film down, but it wasn't too bad. I thought there was a lot of melodramatic moments, especially with Kate Winslet's character, but overall I thought it was really good. Then I watched Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. This has got to be the biggest Godzilla movie yet. We have 3 monsters in this, Godzilla, Mothra and Raidan, versus Ghidorah. Or is it Ghidorah? Something like that. I'm saying it kind of correctly anyway. And I found it very amusing. For some odd reason, in each Godzilla film, Godzilla returns from the water, and each time everyone has the same reaction. There's screaming, there's helicopters, there's cars, and at this point it's actually quite hilarious. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but the human characters weren't that bad. Actually interesting. We've got a woman that was taken over by Venus or something like that. She was a princess. I don't know what. We have these fairy characters. Yeah, it's a really good time. I really like this. Then I watched 3 Buster Keaton short films, The Butcher Boy, The Rough House, and His Wedding Night. These were all made in 1917. Wow, very, very old films. And The Butcher Boy, I'll just quickly talk about this. This was actually Buster Keaton's first film role. This is the first short film he ever was featured in, and it's pure slapstick comedy at its finest. The Rough House, it's your standard stuff. Keaton gets some great bits, but nothing terrible. But His Wedding Night, I found it was not funny and actually quite bad. Then I watched Education, the final film to finish off Steve McQueen's Small Axe anthology series, and it was solid, yeah. I'm sure people will be criticising the film because it's literally 1 hour long, but I actually think it works well because it is a film exposing the way the education system is set up to be a disadvantage to the West Indies children, and usually primary school lessons are 1 hour long, so it's almost like McQueen is educating us. You know, we are sat in a school lesson for an hour, so that might be the reason why they decided to go over 1 hour runtime. It might not have been a coincidence because McQueen and his writing team might have really wanted to get that 1 hour runtime in, and for that I think it's really good. Then I rewatched Tenet, and yeah, unfortunately it didn't hold up upon rewatch. It isn't a good film, but I enjoy it a lot. I think the IMAX shots are incredible. It's got a great intellectual concept put on an espionage action film, but I think the writing is really quite bad. I don't care about any of the characters, and when you don't care about the characters, you don't care about the film, so I was kind of switched off throughout the whole film, unless there was an interesting action set piece going on, because it's all well filmed. Like I said, the IMAX shots look so good, and I remember saying in my video review that Kenneth Branagh was good in this film. I take that back. Then I rewatched Wonder Woman, and yeah, I might be in the minority here, but I just think this film's okay. Just okay. It's not fantastic, it's not even that good, but it's not terrible either. It's just okay. Then I rewatched Patriot Stay, a film that I wasn't expecting to like that much, but man, this was good. I had no idea what this film was about. I thought it was going to be another silly Mark Wahlberg, Pete Berg action film, but actually it's based on real events. It's very thrilling, gripping. There's some odd choices of direction with bits of shaky cam and mini zooms, even when it's not warranted. That just didn't make any sense to me. As the film progressed, my rating continued to climb. Yeah, I thought this was great. I'd recommend this one. And then I gave Revenge of the Sith a rewatch. So I rewatched the whole prequel trilogy this Christmas, and yeah, it's fantastic. It's like really great for a kind of a Star Wars film. Like, it's objectively, it's not that fantastic, and I wish the film was longer. If this was like a 3 hour, 3.5 hour epic, it would be incredible, incredible. I might have even enjoyed it more, because this film does so much. There's so much in this film going off. Like, there's never a dull moment in this film, and yeah, really enjoy Revenge of the Sith. Then I watched Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Now, this contains some of the best performances of the year. Chadwick Boseman, he was incredible in this film. So was Viola Davis, but I really didn't like Viola Davis's character. She was just really mean to everyone for some reason. I didn't like that at all. This is based off a play, and you can definitely tell that. It's similar to another Netflix film, Boys in the Band, that was based off a play that was set in one location. And this film definitely is an actor's paradise. It's, you know, just one location, actors acting, but the main thing is I just didn't really like the characters, especially of Viola Davis's Ma Rainey. Then I watched Wolfwalkers. The detail that goes into every single shot is incredibly impressive. It's a very nice autumn feeling film, and it rivals Fantastic Mr. Fox for that autumn aesthetic that it goes for, with the colours and the sound design. Oh, yeah, it does some really great stuff in here. Then I watched my first Christmas film of the month. It was How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Not one of the best Christmas films at all. It's only 1 hour and 40 minutes, yet feels a hell of a lot longer. Hector, if you're watching, thank you for pointing out. You commented on my Letterboxd review saying that the presentation makes it look very murky and tainted, which I agree with. Why does this film look so dirty and just so, yeah, tainted, like Hector says, is a mystery to me, since I would expect it to be very quite bright and colourful. But I guess not. Then I watched The Revenant. This film looked incredible. Absolutely incredible. Multiple times my jaw dropped at the sheer beauty of some of the shots, and the sheer skill it would take to pull off these incredibly impressive long takes. I really like the story in this one, the acting, Donald Gleeson and Tom Hardy, Leonardo DiCaprio, oh yeah, I really enjoyed The Revenant. I thought it was fantastic. I've ordered my 4K version of the film, hopefully it'll come soon. I don't know how well it will hold up upon rewatch, because this is kind of the highest, I rated this a point higher than 12 Angry Men, but I feel like 12 Angry Men may go up in rating and this one may go down. I don't know yet. This film, the script-wise, does get a little lost towards the third act, and it does. I don't have a few script problems, we'll put it that way. Then I watched The Muppets Christmas Carol. This is such a warm and welcoming film. The music is so good. Every song, there isn't too many songs in this film, but every song is very memorable and well written. Yeah, this is a really lovely Christmas film. Definitely gets you in the mood. And then I watched Gremlins, another enjoyable Christmas film, borderline horror, and it's pretty dumb in many aspects, but I enjoyed it. Then I watched Wonder Woman 1984. Now, when I first watched this film in the cinema, before it was released on HBO Max, this film was having a pretty positive response. In fact, I thought it was good. And then all of a sudden Christmas Day arrived and people were hating on this film. And I don't understand why people actually hate this film. It's rated on Letterboxd way lower than the original Wonder Woman. I think this one's better. Yeah, what's the big deal, guys? It's not that bad. Then I watched Full Metal Jacket. Upon fourth viewing, I've gotten everything out of this film I could get. That's why it's not a 5 out of 5. I wish it would be, but it's not. But don't get me wrong, it's still really great. Then I watched Invasion of the Astro Monster. This is basically Godzilla in space. It's classic, cheesy 60s space adventure with aliens. Then I watched Burning. This film is excellent. It's very subtle, it's very intriguing, it's a drama thriller, and from a cinematography, performance, writing standpoint, all great, all really good. I must say there's some very impressive visuals here as well. Yeah, definitely need to watch this film again, but I'd really recommend this. And then I watched Home Alone. Yeah, this just makes Christmas delightful every year. I'm not giving these Christmas films ratings too much thought. I know you're looking at it and thinking, 4.4, how? Yeah, I mean, it's hard to judge a film that you've kind of watched every single Christmas. I can't judge this film very seriously just because it gives me so much joy. I really like this. Then I watched Brian De Palma's Snake Eyes. I really like this. I thought the opening tracking shot is really great. Very investing and very interesting. Then I watched Die Hard. Now, some people may say that it's not a Christmas film. I've had people comment on me saying that it's not a Christmas film, but I'm not gonna watch this film in summer. I'll tell you that. It's just really good fun action. Proves that you don't need to have a film with kind of stimulating themes. You can just make a really great straight up action film and it's done really well. Then I watched Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I thought Spielberg's direction is great, but things are quite all over the place at the beginning, and is it just me, but is the sound mixing really strange on the dialogue? I couldn't hear some of the dialogue that well, and I think it just felt very chaotic, and I didn't like that about the film. And upon reflection of watching it, I don't think... Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this film, not yet anyway. I watched the director's cut. I like the ending, I really like the ending though, but no, this film didn't strike a chord with me. Watched The Age of Innocence. This is elegantly directed and edited by Scorsese. The first hour is really good. Surprised I enjoyed the first hour, but the second hour when it gets deep into this romance had me bored out of my mind. Then I rewatched Elf. This is a family Christmas classic. It's so nice to watch this on Christmas Eve. It's one of the best comedies ever. I just laugh every single year I watch this. The jokes just don't get old. It's almost genius on the part of Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell. Then I watched Scrooged. Yeah. This used to be a Christmas tradition for myself where I'd watch this film on Christmas Eve before I go to bed. And I used to really enjoy this film, but I watched it and it was actually just poor. Really bad. I can't believe for like 3 years in a row now I've watched this film and really liked it, and this year it kind of hit me with how bad it was. There's so much screaming and yelling, and the character of Elliot is so unnecessary. I hate him, maybe even more than Olaf. Then I watched Burro just before I watched Soul. Quick brief thoughts on Burro, the short film that would have gone with Soul if it was in cinemas. This was great, I love the 2D animation. It felt like classic Disney, it's cute, yeah. Soul, I'm gonna keep this brief here. Animation, brilliant, fantastic, really interesting and stimulating. Gets very deep and philosophical, but I just wanted more of a strong jazz theme. Then I watched Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. This was on Christmas Day of all times, but we were constantly debating what to watch. It went from Goodfellas to The Godfather. Then my brother came in and he really likes Star Wars, so I just said, let's just watch Rogue One, and my dad loves that film as well. And I really like Rogue One actually, especially the third act. The third act is brilliant, the other 2 acts are okay. Then I watched The Rock with Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage and Ed Harris. I was really hoping that this would have been a good film. I was really looking forward to it, and it's another pile of rubbish from Michael Bay. Thank you, but no thank you. Then I spent the afternoon watching The Hateful Eight, and it's glorious. I love the 70mm cinematography. Beautiful snowy landscapes, really great soundtrack, of course, by Ennio Morricone, but unfortunately it does fail to captivate me throughout the whole runtime. This is Tarantino's longest film, and you feel it. Then I rewatched Phantom Thread. All I can say is this film is incredibly elegant. This is reflected in the really good music and cinematography. And then I watched Eyes Wide Shut. Every time I watch this film, I have a new experience. It doesn't strike you as something that you would immediately give 5 out of 5. It isn't fast-paced, it's just very subtle, it's hard to explain, but when you watch it, you'll understand it, you'll probably hate it or love it, or kind of fall in the middle and never watch it again. But for me, it's so good, and it's also set in Christmas time, so it was nice watching it around Christmas time for once as well. Then I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Oh, I love this film. I can't explain it. I just love it. And then I watched Black Christmas. Ooh. This was a fantastically crafted horror film. Like, the editing is perfect. The POV shots. Oh, this was such a good 70s thriller. Then I watched A Wonderful Life, and this film is truly wonderful. I can't believe this, but I got quite emotional towards the end of the movie. I mean, I wasn't crying, but I was very emotional. It's so beautiful and heartwarming. I'm gonna have to watch this film again very soon. I've ordered the Blu-ray. Yeah. If you haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life, change it immediately. Especially around Christmas time, but it's actually not an essential Christmas film to watch around there, because a lot of the film doesn't take place around Christmas time. Then I watched Carol. This was not my thing. I was again looking forward to it, but it's a romance, so I could only appreciate they actually made an effort with the cinematography here. It's very soft and luscious, and you've got a nice layer of film grain on there as well. But no, Carol was just no. Just no. Then I watched Brazil, a very bizarre film. It does get lost in the middle of the movie. It just, the writing, I don't know what was going on there. It was odd. And the female main character, I just didn't get her character. She was very poorly written. For Weddings and a Funeral, I surprisingly liked this film a lot. Well, as much as I could ever like it. It's just surprisingly funny. I even laughed out loud in it, yeah. If you haven't seen it, it's really funny. Then I watched Scent of a Woman. This has just got lots of Al Pacino yelling. I mean, that is enough to entertain me, yes, but it focuses a lot on this kid, played by Chris O'Donnell, who went on to play Robin in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. I just really didn't like his character. I just wish the whole film was just Al Pacino, but it wasn't. It was his lame, loser character that I didn't care about. Then I watched Grizzly Man, my first Werner Herzog film, and I can happily say I kicked off Mr. Herzog's filmography with a bang. This is such a good documentary. I would definitely recommend this to anyone out there. This documentary is fascinating. I'd never heard of this guy. His name is Timothy Treadwell. It's just, the hypnotic narration by Herzog. It's unlike any documentary I've ever seen. Just go watch it. And then I watched Planes, Trains and Automobiles. This film was very funny. It was a good time. I liked it a lot. Then I watched Three Idiots. This is another really funny film. It's full of bright colours, abrupt musical numbers, and surprisingly a heartfelt message being the backbone. Yeah, I don't get those random musical numbers in the film though. They're just, yeah. But they're fun. I like them. I was tapping my toe to them. I think it's something to do with like Indian cinema. I know there's a lot of kind of musicals of Indian cinema, but no, I'd actually really recommend Three Idiots. It was really good. Then I watched La Dolce Vita. Now I wrote a mega big, well not mega big, but a pretty big review for this on Letterboxd, and that sums up my thoughts quite well on the film. If you can't be bothered to go and read that review, then I'll just say it here, it's a masterpiece. Then I watched Shrek II. This was the final family film night of 2020, and I think it does rely too heavily on the pop culture jokes, but it's still really funny and a great time. And the final film to round off 2020 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah, didn't I watch this just a couple of films ago? Well, I wasn't planning on having this film be my final film of the year, but my mum hadn't seen the film yet. She wanted to watch it. We were staying up until midnight, so I thought, why not? And if I was forced to watch this film every day of my life, I'd be living a very, very happy life, I can just tell you that right now. I really should go into more depth about this film and why I love it so much. I mean, check out my Letterboxd, and I'm mentioning it so much in this video, but it's quite hard to give my very brief thoughts about going on for too long about the making the video too long, but yeah, you've got the gist. It's one of my favourite films of all time. So there you have it, guys. That's every film I watched in December 2020. That was 69 films, I believe, and 700 films overall for the year. Man, these videos are hard work, but definitely worth it. Hopefully I'll have fun editing this video, but anyway, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch until this point, all the way till the end. Thanks. Tell me what are your opinions on these films. What did you watch in December 2020? Tell me some of your first time watches of December. And as always, I will see you again in the next video. Bye.